Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone you find irresistibly attractive. You've set the scene perfectly, the conversation is flowing, but something's off. Suddenly, you're fumbling over your words, scrambling for that witty comeback, and watching the spark in their eyes slowly fade. Why? Because somewhere, somehow, you're losing them. But what if I told you there's a technique so powerful, so subtle, that it can flip the entire conversation in your favor? A technique so mind-blowing that it'll make them lean in, hang on to every word you say, and think about you long after you've parted ways. Yes, it exists, and it's called the pause technique. This isn't some cheesy pickup line or scripted nonsense. It's a psychological hack that taps into human behavior at its core. It's about mastering the art of intrigue, curiosity, and that electrifying tension that makes people crave more. The pause technique is like a Jedi mind trick, a game changer that will make them see you in a whole new light. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into how you can master the art of conversation and, quite frankly, blow their mind. And trust me, once you master this, you'll never have another dull conversation again. First, let's break down what the pause technique actually is. It's not just about pausing awkwardly and hoping they fill the silence with something clever. No, it's way more nuanced than that. Pause is an acronym. Each letter represents a specific conversational strategy designed to keep your interactions dynamic, engaging, and irresistibly attractive. And no, it's not about being manipulative or playing games. It's about genuinely understanding the flow of a conversation and knowing how to navigate it to create an undeniable connection. P. Playful teasing, going beyond small talk. Playful teasing is not just about being funny or making jokes. It's about establishing a rapport that feels natural and engaging. Think of it as a way to break down social barriers without coming off as too intense. When you tease someone playfully, you're doing two things. You're showing that you're confident enough to poke fun at the situation, and you're creating a shared experience that is uniquely yours. For instance, if they mention they like watching reality TV, you could say with a grin, "Reality TV? You mean you're into guilty pleasures too? I thought I was the only one." This line works because it doesn't belittle their interest, but lightly pokes fun at it in a way that includes you both in the joke. It's a form of verbal sparring that builds a subtle form of intimacy, like you're both in on a little secret that no one else is part of. Playful teasing also has roots in social dynamics. People are often drawn to those who can challenge them in a light-hearted way. It signals that you are not trying too hard to impress, which can be refreshing. You're essentially saying, "I'm comfortable enough to be myself, and you should be too." This confidence can be incredibly alluring because it sets you apart from others who might be overly cautious or too eager to please. A. Arouse curiosity. The art of intrigue. Curiosity is one of the most powerful psychological triggers because it taps into the brain's natural desire for closure. When you introduce an element of mystery into the conversation, you're setting up an open loop that their mind will want to close. The trick is to give just enough information to be interesting, but not so much that you spill all the details up front. Imagine saying something like, "I've got a wild story about how I ended up stranded in the middle of nowhere last summer, but that's a story for another time." By stopping there, you've just left a narrative cliffhanger. They're going to want to know more because you've opened up a thread that needs to be tied. In their mind, you're now more than just a person. They see you as a layered individual with intriguing experiences. You can also use this to flip the conversation back to them. For example, "You seem like someone who's got a few crazy stories up your sleeve. What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?" Now, you're not only being mysterious but also showing interest in their experiences. This creates a dynamic where you both feel like you're discovering something new about each other, adding layers to the interaction. Unpredictable pauses, mastering the tension. Pauses in conversation are like the rests in a musical composition. They add rhythm, depth, and emphasis. When you pause at unexpected moments, you create a sense of anticipation. For instance, if you're telling a story, you can strategically pause at the most suspenseful moment. And then, just as I was about to pause, you won't believe what happened next. This unpredictable pause serves two purposes. First, it heightens the tension, drawing them in closer to you, both literally and figuratively. They might lean forward, eyes widening, hanging on to your next word. Secondly, it communicates confidence. You're not rushing to fill the silence with nervous chatter. Instead, you're comfortable enough to let your words linger, knowing that the pause adds weight to what you're saying. Pausing also signals emotional control. You're not letting the conversation run away with you. You're steering it with precision. It can be particularly powerful during more intense conversations. For example, if you're discussing something meaningful or personal, a well-placed pause allows the other person to digest what you've said and form a more thoughtful response. It makes the exchange feel more deliberate, more intentional. Storytelling, creating an emotional journey. Everyone has stories, but not everyone knows how to tell them in a way that captivates. A great story has a beginning, a build-up, a climax, and sometimes a twist. It's not just about recounting events, but about taking the listener on an emotional journey. When you share a story, especially one that reveals something about your personality, you're giving them a window into your world. Let's say you're recounting a travel adventure. You don't just say, "I went hiking in the mountains." Instead, you paint a vivid picture. There I was, standing on the edge of this sheer cliff, the wind roaring in my ears. The entire valley stretched out beneath me like a green and gold patchwork quilt. I took a deep breath, looked down, and felt this rush of exhilaration mixed with just a hint of fear. Why does this work? Because stories evoke emotions, and emotions are what create connections. When you tell a story well, the listener doesn't just hear it, they feel it. They imagine themselves in your shoes, feeling the wind on their face, the adrenaline in their veins. It's immersive, but the real magic happens when your story resonates with them on a personal level. Maybe they've felt that same rush, or maybe they long for an adventure like that. Either way, you've established a deeper connection than you could with mere facts or small talk. Engage and echo, building a loop of engagement. The last part of the pause technique is about creating a conversational flow where they feel truly heard and understood. This is where you actively listen and then echo back their thoughts, not verbatim, but in a way that shows you're tuned in. This isn't about being a passive listener, it's about being an active participant in the exchange. When they mention something, don't just nod and say, "That's interesting." Instead, delve deeper. If they say, "I love going to the beach," respond with something like, "Ah, the beach. There's something about the sound of waves crashing that just makes everything else melt away, isn't there? What's your favorite beach memory?" By echoing their sentiment and then expanding on it, you're doing two things. You're validating their feelings and inviting them to open up more. This creates a loop of engagement where each of you is contributing to the conversation. It feels natural, not forced. And here's the key. When people feel like you're genuinely interested in what they have to say, they are more likely to become interested in you. They begin to associate the positive emotions they feel during the conversation with you as a person. This is the bedrock of building attraction and rapport. So why does the pause technique work so well? It's rooted in basic psychological principles of attraction and human interaction. When you're playfully teasing, you're creating a push-pull dynamic that sparks intrigue. When you arouse curiosity, you're opening a loop that their brain naturally wants to close. Strategic pauses tap into the power of silence and tension, forcing their focus to remain on you. Storytelling engages the emotional part of the brain, making the interaction memorable and impactful. Lastly, engaging and echoing fosters a sense of validation and mutual understanding, which are key ingredients in building rapport. The technique is also about balance. You're not dominating the conversation, but guiding it. You're not talking just to fill space. You're creating moments of laughter, curiosity, suspense, and connection. And these moments are what leave a lasting impression. By combining all these elements, you create a conversational style that is dynamic, unpredictable, and deeply engaging. You're not just talking, you're crafting an experience, and people are drawn to experiences that make them feel alive, intrigued, and connected. When you master the pause technique, you're not just having a conversation, you're orchestrating an interaction that resonates on multiple levels. The beauty of this technique is that it's subtle. You're not coming off as rehearsed or calculated. Instead, you're adapting to the flow of the conversation, using each element to enhance the interaction naturally. It's about being present, being curious, and being confident enough to guide the conversation without forcing it. And when you do this, you become not just someone they talk to, but someone they remember. In the end, it's not about getting them to do something or say something specific. It's about creating an environment where both of you can connect in a way that feels genuine and exciting. Because at the core of it, the pause technique is about making every moment count, turning ordinary conversations into extraordinary experiences that linger in their mind long after you've left the room.